Right, we should be on now. Well, thank you everyone for finding time on a Sunday morning to join the discussion. Uh, this is basically a continuation of sorts of the discussion that you guys started last week. I missed out last week. I wasn't keeping all that well. But this week, after I heard the discussion last week, I found it very difficult for me to stay away. So I said, okay, this week, let's try and join and be a part of all the fun that we're having. So one of the things that I noticed people spoke about last week was communication skills, and essentially people spoke about it as a soft skill. Well, I personally am not a subscriber of the term called soft skill, because the moment we say soft, we sort of have a bias that okay, it is perhaps easy to acquire and easy to master, and that's why maybe it is not such a skill that is you know very heavy to practice or something like that, and that's why maybe it's termed as soft. But if you look at communication skill, that is perhaps the hardest thing to acquire, because communication comprises of multiple facets. It's not just the way we talk, it's also about the way we write stuff. It's also about listening. It's also about your verbal non-verbal communication. Uh, it is it is multifaceted, and to acquire mastery in that, it's a very very difficult thing, and that's why I don't consider that as a soft skill. So that's why that's of course my personal opinion. Again, people will start saying, oh, you said nothing called manual testing, and now you will say nothing called soft skill. But nothing like that. I don't have any such intention. It is just a perspective that I have, and I prefer calling it as a life skill rather than anything else, because what you do there as a part of communication skill, that stays with you, not just in your professional life, but also impacts you on your personal life. So that's something that I wanted to add to the discussion that you guys were having last week, which was quite valuable. So this week, what we are going to probably be focusing is, we know that there are multiple technical skills that we, of course, need to make the right choices in our career and to make the career progression as wonderful as it seems like. But from a skills perspective, what are the other skills that we can possibly think of, uh, which are very important for a tester to make progression in their career? That's something that I am very keen in listing down in from all of you, and to understand what is it that makes us unique, or what is it that makes us better testers, because we look for new jobs, we look for promotions. So what is it that is a differentiating factor that'll actually help us you know get those promotions, get those new jobs faster than anything else, is something that I'd be interested in knowing. I you know as usual, we have the floor open to the guests. So who wants to go first? Good morning, Seema. Hello, Chandra.
Morning.
Morning.
Brijesh, can I go first?
Yes, Himani, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the eagerness to know, eagerness to learn a product, to know the stack, to know the product very well, it is an important skill. and not only relying on the requirement document which is given to you, because that doesn't cover everything. When you explore the product, you might not know that while exploring, you might give a new requirement. I mean, the tester can also give a new requirement while exploring. So that eagerness should be there, and not just relying on the requirements given or just the test cases. So like for an example, if a new QA is joining the team, so he should not just rely on the test cases written for that product. He should learn about the product. Perspective of different, each and every person is different. My perspective is different, yours is different. So the new person may look at a product from a different perspective, but if he only relies on the test cases which are given, then he's not coming out of his shell. He's just working on the other person's perspective. So that eagerness should be there.
That is a very good point. Would it be fair to call it curiosity?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, curiosity is one aspect we can say. Definitely, people should be curious enough to explore, to go deep, to go wide across the product, to understand what is it that helps us create a better product. That is a very good point. Thank you, Himani. Who wants to share their thought next?
Also, I think the testing or the technical skill would help them to get the job. It would be there by default, I guess. But also with that, to present those skills at the right time when it's needed. Like if they have the curiosity, they found something, but they should be able to present it in a way that would be helpful to the person who can take the decision.
Okay.
I guess flexibility or what can I say, adaptability to changes should be there. Because it's not always necessary that you are working in always same kind of environment or same kind of products or tech stack and likewise. So and even sometimes you need to make an exception. So it should be there. Yeah, it's definitely understandable that it should not be like it. Sometimes situations are like that it's like very difficult to work or cope up with. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about general things that it shouldn't be like, always insisting on something should be done like this or that only. Sometimes there can be an exception as per the situation, and in this learning new things also, you miss one cannot just say that I am doing this kind of work only. Then why I should do that kind of work? Because many times people people are hesitant that means suppose a person is getting hired as a test automation engineer or automation tester or estate, and then sometimes they have to do a little bit of functional testing, and then they are hesitant that no, that I won't do any. But what I believe is that you need to explore the product, then only you can write good test automation scripts. So that point should be there as per my belief. It's my personal opinion again. Some may agree, some may disagree, but
No,
that's what I believe.
Faiz, you said something really interesting, and I want to talk about it. I mean, does it happen in reality that when people join as automation testers, and when there is a situation where they have something to test, which is not essentially a part of their automation thing, they sort of say, no, I don't want to do it because this is outside my skill area or something? Does it happen in reality?
So I don't have any direct experience, but yeah, I have heard that such things are happening, and I've heard it from reliable persons only. So it's not like some gossip going around. So yeah.
Alright. So does it imply that those people think that okay, functional testing is below their pay grade, and that's why they shouldn't be doing it, or is something that
That can be the reason. Another reason, what I believe is that sometimes it's happening that people are hired for the more test automation role, and then they are moved to like what can you say, purely functional role. Okay, so they are having that fear that if they will say yes one time, then then maybe gradually they will move on to the purely functional role, and maybe they won't be able to work on test automation anymore, and they would not be able to get that exposure of working on that. So that can also be one of the reason. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that kind of stories even I have heard, of course, from reliable
because because just I won't take it in another direction, but sometimes we see a CV, sorry, we see a JD, it says like we require a manual tester, or we require a functional tester, and the first 3 or 4 points are there, like means they should be able to know how to write test cases and all those things, and the last point is that exposure to or basic knowledge of Selenium or something is required. So why are they not saying that it's only test engineer required with basic knowledge of exposures to automation skills? So such kind of things are happening. So means we can never know what company actually hires for and what they actually make people work on. Yeah.
Hi, Brijesh. I would like to just add on what has said. This is Chandra.
Yeah, Chandra, go ahead.
So this is not related to testing specifically, but one of my colleague who is working with me has decided to move on. Why? Because he has a 4+ years of experience in front-end technology, and the organization is currently pushing him. The manager is currently pushing him to get into the KT of AI-based application or something, and he is keen to improve himself on the front-end side of technology. He's having a good pay grade, but he is kind of keen about that. He needs to go on in the area which he has decided for himself. And I just had a day before yesterday, I just had a discussion with him, and he was like, when at times when he was being hired, he was specifically asked to have so and so technology, and when we had that technology in his resume and he has the command over it, why he would be kind of doing any compromise? So mainly, and he's actually actively looking for that job to change, and he also understands that while AI, or as we said, functional testing can be good, but it's his choice at that point. The way when interviewer or the organization hires us when we are joining it, it is their requirement and they decide us to hire. So at same time, as an employee or worker, it is my choice if I want to work or not, if I'm in that position, of course.
Well, certainly, I kind of agree with that. However, I also have that's perhaps my perspective, that we should perhaps think in the lines of where the company is going, or what are the things that they want to do. Uh, Perhaps it is a good idea to acquire those skills that they need, but I kind of understand what you're trying to say with that, Chandra. Uh,
Yep.
that somebody has an aspiration, he wants to grow in that particular area, and when you are asked to pick up something else which is out of the aspiration that you have, it makes you feel uncomfortable. So yeah, I kind of get that. Anybody else has some thoughts to share? Naveen, uh, Seema, Rishi?
Yeah, Brijesh, I mean, not that much. I think you guys have already discussed about it, but I would say this is happening. It's not like you will hear something. These are stories that you hired for automation, and then uh, management or your manager is asking for to do some manual testing or functional testing. But I really don't understand what is the problem with the functional testing. Like, end of the day, you have to do it, right? And I really don't understand why we should mention these things in my JD also. Like, if this is just like a basic stuff, this is just a base, right? If you are hired for automation, it's not like everybody or every company or every project will give you 100% automation day and night. You just need to do automation. That is, I think, the problem with us sometimes, that we have that level of expectation that I'm hired only and only for automation, and I don't want to touch any test case. I don't want to execute anything. I have seen personally in my company also. I was being a manager, and then when you have a That's you. When you are a manager, you deal with different type of people. So, and then they are really disappointed that, okay, no, I'm not doing any automation. But this is release time. You, after 2 days, we have to release to the production, and we really don't have sources. So what is the problem if you are contributing for the functional testing and you are executing the test cases and delivering the product? That is the main thing, right? Our automation in 2 days, you cannot do magic in terms of automation.
That's correct.
So I think that is the problem that I think somewhere people should understand, and we have to be humble about it. It's not like, okay, that no, I just want only and only automation thing. What is the base of automation? It's automation testing. Testing. You have to think about this keyword. Testing keyword is there in automation testing, right? So it means our base is testing only. End of the day, we have to deliver the product. End of the day, the entire team will be appreciated because of your quality work, not because of only automation. So I think that is my view on this.
No, I think that's a very fair comment, Naveen. I think you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, we need the testing to be done, and somebody has to do it. So yeah, that was definitely a good point made by you, Naveen. Thank you. Who wants to talk? Rishi, Seema, Srinivas.
Hi, Brijesh. What I want to say is I have a team member who is who has told me exactly this. I was recruited and employed for automation. Why am I supposed to be doing manual testing? And I think one of the ways I'm talking to him and changing this perspective is by saying your inputs is for automation. You need to know what to automate and what not to automate. To know that, you need to know the product, you need to know the application, you need to know how it works. Is it worth automating at all? What other aspects do I need to consider in terms of maybe multiple types of data is needed for that input, maybe it's not covered in a test case, and why should someone else provide you with the test case? Why can't you look at it and then say, I will automate this part of it because it's important? So I think it has changed slightly. I do see a little bit of interest shown now in terms of being hands-on, manually looking into the product rather than looking at only from an automation perspective. On the other hand, one of the reasons he was recruited in the team was also to be the sole tester, not just automation. So if you think automation is the only way, then also ensure that number of bugs in the application are reducing. If there are too many bugs, then maybe your automation strategy is not working. So I think those kind of conversations are helping a little bit. Time will tell if it's really worked or not. I don't know if there's any other advice any of you can give, please do.
That's a really good approach, Seema, to try and make people understand that, you know, when you are hired for automation, at least you should know what to automate, what not to automate, and to do some basic testing on it will allow you to develop that skill better. So, well, Rishi, you want to add something?
No, Brijesh.
Okay, that's fine. Srinivas is actually multitasking. He's in a sprint planning call, and he's listening in on us. So we'll excuse Srinivas for the moment from speaking. That's okay, Srinivas. It's fine. I mean, I would rather have you focus on your work, but then if you want to listen into this discussion and if this helps you, well, I don't mind. Well, from my perspective, to be very honest, one of the basic skills that we need as testers, I don't know in which category would you put it. Would you put it as a soft skill, hard skill, or whatever? Is something called storytelling. Storytelling, in my opinion, is a very, very important skill that a tester needs. Okay, and the reason why I think storytelling is an important skill for a tester is, you in your journey as a tester discover stuff. If you are a good storyteller, you would be able to explain things in a better way to people, to sort of educate them about what you have discovered. And that's where I think it is a very good skill for a tester to have. I think it really helps in explaining things about the product, in understanding what can happen in different situations, and to be able to convey it to the people who actually matter. So that's one skill that I definitely recommend that testers should have. Any thoughts on that? Anybody? Hey, Mahathee.
Hello, Brijesh.
Okay. Looks like I am.
So,
I have something to say.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Like you said, storytelling plays a very important role, and not only conveys your idea detailedly, also it gives a broader picture, and this is a very important skill to cultivate. I have observed, and it's not only important for testing as such, but in general also when you write something as a document. If you have good or effective storytelling skills, it plays a very good role. Like you will be able to write effective documentation. So this is what I've observed. If you want to write something on LinkedIn, or if you want to make a technical document at your organization, or if you want to tweet something on Twitter, or if you're attending a conference and if you want to make some quote, storytelling plays a great role, and this is undoubtedly a very good skill.
Definitely. Yeah, anybody else?
Yeah, Brijesh, on the same note, like, QA knows the product well, very well, other than the documentation team. So, like, I had a manager who believed this in one of my companies, and in there, it was a role of the QA to prepare the documents, the user guides, because he believed that QA knows each and every corner, and QA should be able to explain it and have that skill of storytelling. So yes, I agree with your point.
Okay, so what other skills do you think do the testers need? I know we can go at length talking about coding skills or automation, and we have very specific areas in that. But apart from that, as a tester, if I want to grow, if I want to seek my next promotion or my next job, what skills would definitely help me? What would make me unique is what I'm looking for. So what are some of the skills?
I don't think it can be exactly termed as a skill. It's more of a trade, maybe. But I think having empathy can help you a lot. Because if you are having empathy, you can understand what user will experience if user is going to use the application this way, and how you can make it better. You can also understand your teammates situation. You can also understand the business perspective and all. So it means I can keep going on and on, but empathy plays a huge role. Means to understand each thing from a better perspective, and then accordingly you can act, and it can definitely help you work better as a tester. So I think it can go a very long way.
Definitely. I mean, empathy. I agree with you. It's perhaps not not a skill, but a trait that we have or we should have. Uh, you know, Empathy, in my opinion, is one of the most important traits for you to have when you are doing usability testing. Okay, so you know exactly what is going through the user's mind and what he or she is looking for, and empathy plays a very important role in that. Also, we talk about doing testing from a user perspective, the user persona testing that we do. That's again one more place where empathy plays an important role. And yes, I mean, in general as well, empathy is something that will make you different from others. Not everybody has empathy towards their fellow beings. So it is something that is very important. But from a skills perspective, what else can we think of?
Just, I think I would add one point here. That is involvement is very important.
Mhm.
What I see that QA just like working in in a specific thing only. My job is just to write the test cases and execute the test cases, and that's it. I don't want to participate in design discussions,
Yeah.
what is happening at the dev side, and what kind of backend they are going to develop, what are tools and technologies. I'm not saying you have to write the code in backend, but at least try to understand. For example, let's see that you are testing an application and the application is totally based out of microservices and some really cool a design they're using it, and some very complex with integration with, let's say, Kafka or a MongoDB or such things they're using it. And when we talk with the tester, have no knowledge about it. Then in my background, what is my tech stack? So I think you should involve those discussions, try to understand that, read the documentation, talk to developers, and then talk in their language. And just to when you really want to talk in their language, you have to learn. So
Yes.
keep learning those things. Your scope is just not like just to writing the test cases and doing some basic automation stuff with Selenium. I think you have to raise the bar high, do involvement. Why don't you present your product? Why don't you present involve in some tech conferences which is done by your company within the organization? Why don't you participate for those things? Why don't you participate in hacker ranks, or hackathons? Sorry, not hacker ranks, hackathons, like which is happening in your company.
Mhm.
So just do something like that. Involve and try to learn what is a jQuery, React, Angular, basic fundamentals of backend, so that you will understand the language and you can also debug the code and you can also find the issues with there. So I think involvement is very much important. And these days, I think a lot of people, they are doing it just
Yeah.
because of a lot of freshers and they have that enthu and then passion to learn. But when I'm coming from my background from 10 years back, that time we were not very much active on, I think, on these things. So I think we should be involved and take a right decision at the right time in your career.
That's so true, Naveen. I mean, in fact, yes, you are right that the generation which is coming now, the fresh batch, they are more inquisitive and they would want to understand, okay, how does stuff work? Okay, how is this product going to work? So let me talk to developers, let me talk to architects, let me talk to product owners to understand things better, and start getting involved from very early days. But the problem lies in areas with people having 10 years, 15 years experience, that level, because we come from a school of thought that, okay, we were supposed to be writing test cases and doing that, and we've been doing that for so many years. We've never got involved in anything else. So what's the whole point? And that's why people tend to sort of take a laid back approach to that. And that's where I feel the problem starts. You're absolutely right that we talk about getting us involved early, but even
Uh,
when the project is helping us to get involved early, we do nothing about it. Getting involved in requirements discussion, you know with the product owner, getting involved in the design discussions with the architects, okay, with the developers, okay. Oh,
Exactly.
and
If
and
you see some really good people in the market, that I have met really good testers.
Mhm.
They are very senior to me now and they are at very good level, working in some really good companies. and then they talk to developers and the CTOs in a very confident way. And
Right.
when I talk to them, when I see them, okay, this is the way they have started their career like 20-25 years back, and the way they talk to the technical manager and CTO, the kind of problems they solve, the product related problems, that was, I think, amazingly good. That's why you can see these people, they are totally different from others, you know. So I think that is very much required. And I'm still learning, you know, how to, you know, learn these things. That is very important. Second thing is that if you see some really good companies, for example, all good product companies, they have some challenging work in terms of problem solving. Problem solving is not about only DSL, it's about that, let's say for mobility services, let's say for Uber, how exactly you're going to solve the business problem. So
Correct.
I think somewhere I feel that tester, they never participate over there. They are just, okay, it's not my cup of tea and I don't want to get into these things. Why should I? And there are some testers, they already, I mean, they always involved, they present their ideas, they try to solve the problems, business critical problems. So that depends on the company to company also, what kind of culture they provide. I think we should involve into these things also. So ultimate criteria is involvement is very important.
Absolutely. And in order to get involved, you spoke about two very important skills. One is your social skill. That is, how do you collaborate? That is a very important skill for you to have. And when we are talking about skills, that's very important to understand that, okay, collaboration comes from a lot of interaction with people. And I, in the project, may be a tester, but I have to talk to the product owner, I have to talk to the developer, I have to talk to the person taking care of the database, I have to talk to perhaps the customer, for getting some feedback. So I need that collaboration skill. And that's where I would also be showing my involvement, showing my eagerness, like Himani began with that, to participate and to get involved in the activities. And that's one aspect. The other aspect is the problem solving skill. Problem solving is also a skill. And you need to have that mindset. You need to understand that, okay, I am working on this product. What problems is it solving for the customer, and how are we going to solve those problems through the code that is being written for the product? I mean, is there a value addition? Is there no addition? Is it something different? As a tester, you can think differently, propose out of the box solutions, and that makes a lot of difference, is what I feel. And anybody else wants to add something?
Just
Adding to Naveen's point, asking questions is a very basic skill which a tester should have. I mean, however silly the question is, you should not be afraid to ask, because at last it's solving your question, your doubt. So asking questions is a very basic skill, right?
Exactly.
Of course. I keep telling people.
But I have, sorry, Brijesh, I have one thing to add. Since Naveen also told that it is more of a context and organization based, but I have been working in a service based organization, and even when you have, I don't have 10 years experience, but even when you have a 10 years of experience, the day start with writing test cases and ends with giving a summary of what is the number of test cases you have executed, and what is the trials, and what is the chart which you, the fancy chart you made, which shows everything in green, earlier in Excel, nowadays in Jira, and so on. So point is, while we agree that we should talk and we should discuss with developer, but there are demographic locations who are not sitting with you, and when you have a pointed discussion and there are 10 people in the meeting, you can be like very specific to the point. You cannot just go and ask something about, okay, I want to understand the stack. Nobody will tell you. And when you say, I mean, I'm saying this, when you say I have a 5 years of experience and you are asking a developer who is just 2 years of experience, the respect will go down. I mean, I can understand that it doesn't matter how much experience you have, but at times 6 months back I was having this fear that how I'm having 6 years experience can ask a developer who is just 2 years of experience that please tell me how this is working. So there are two things, in the context and the self-esteem or ego we say. You cannot just ask anybody. Here in this forum, I can say that, but in my company, if my manager knows that I don't know this, I'm not sure in next promotion he'll see me as good as he was reviewing me earlier.
Well, and that is what the test chat forum is meant for. Thank you, Chandra, for sharing. I have a question for you, but before I come to that, Seema started saying something. Seema,
Yeah, I wanted to say that just stitching up what Naveen said, Himani said, and you said, I think, yes, involvement, asking questions, all this is needed, but what adds on to that is the way you said about storytelling. You need to know the audience you're talking to, how you put it across. Somebody on a higher up may not have the time to listen to the whole thing, or may not have the technical understanding of what you're doing. I remember when I had to do talk about in town hall lightning talks about what the QA team have been doing for the past 3 months or 6 months. I had to tone it down to the point where marketing, sales, or any other team could understand what the QA team does. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what we were doing. They wouldn't understand what automation means. Or if you're talking to peers, like you're sitting with architects and or senior developers or developers, then the language you using should be quite technical, and you should be able to explain it in the technical terminology. You speak to product owners, be ready to talk about in a way that they will understand what you're talking about. And it's also about, in your own team, for example, the QA team, you might have other automation engineers, or you might have juniors, you might have senior team members. So the way you interact with them, the way you explain things to them differs. Some when you're handing over, you might build an automation framework. I'm going to automation every time because that's something that's come up very often. So I'm just saying it in that language. You develop a framework, and then you need to hand it over to to the rest of the team, or to another team, or to another person. You need that way of explaining to them that is understandable and that can move on forward. You need to be able to listen to others as well. So it's not just the way you tell. When somebody else talks to you, you need to be able to listen and understand what is it that they're trying to explain, whether in technical terms or not. Either which way, you need to be able to, and without feeling threatened as well. So I think that's really important. And coming to project status, or even that is an art in itself. The way you report based on audience, based on context, you talk to the point of what matters to this person. A number of test cases may not be of use for product owners. Maybe only the project manager it matters to. But again, depending upon who is seeing it, who it's going to, you need to build that kind of project status. So yeah, and convincing management teams. Sometimes that's also an art in itself, just to say, why do I want a particular tool? Why do I not want to use this particular tool? Why do I need to stop using this and build something else, or throw away all the existing tests and write new tests? That's an art in itself. Able to convince somebody and say it in a way that they will listen to us, because it's money at the end of the day. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
I think you've summarized everything. You've already summarized the entire discussion that we have been having so far. That was really good. So coming to what Chandra said, he said something really interesting. that and specific to his context, in service-based organizations where you're working for a customer, you have a situation where your day starts with writing test cases, ends with providing a status of what test cases you've written and what is the coverage that you've probably achieved. So where is the scope for me to get involved and talk to these people and convey different things? And in the meetings also there are very specific discussions that happen. Chandra, I hope I've paraphrased
Yes, yes, yes.
your point properly. Well,
Yeah.
so I had a question for you. Okay, so have you tried to do something different, or what have you tried to do to show your involvement or ask the kind of questions that um, Himani, Naveen, Faiz, and Seema have been talking about?
There are 40 members in my team,
Mhm.
all testers, and basically it's a ERP-based application. So the implementation, and we cannot really discuss the details, but yeah, it's like the day starts and ends, and it goes like, give me the status. Once in a while or in a 6 months, there is a concept of igniting or giving an idea. You can put an idea, but it's just a repository which you are kind of building. There is no discussion about it. Yes, when the appraisal or the final year end comes, they see that you haven't done an initiative or anything. At that time, organization also asks them. But and I'm not saying you are right that at some point it is like, end of the day, you want to perform, you want to work, and the work you are doing is what you are doing. Out of that 8 hour or 9 hour schedule, you can go and you can learn, that is fine, but I don't see a scope in working in there. And it would be a shame to say that I also haven't done anything. I mean, I've never even thought differently, if I say true.
Well, no, that's
So
really honest, Chandra. I really appreciate it that that there is a situation like this where you are kind of caught and you want to share something and you don't see the opportunity to do so, so you are going with the flow maybe, and trying to do things that please the eyes of the manager and people who are concerned. So how do we come out of this is the question. I have some thoughts, but before I throw my thoughts out, maybe people can talk about it. Any suggestions for Chandra?
may I? So,
Please go ahead. I mean, yeah.
so Chandra, I really appreciate that. Okay, you're being very honest about your current situation. See, I don't want to tell you Guma Fira ke baat. I just tell you to the point. If you are feeling and you are not happy from last couple of years, and you're saying your day start with writing a test cases, and then end of the day you have to publish those green or red, whatever the reports or fancy reports. So, do you really think, are you learning something? And will you continue the same thing for next couple of years, 2 3 years? You know the things, right? And you are matured enough, you've already experienced 10 years in the industry, you have seen the industry very well. So what is the final thing? The final thing is that get out of it, get out of the project, or maybe get out of the company, try something new, and with your background, some background work, do your own homework, prepare yourself that after 10 years, if I'm joining some, maybe any service company or product company, in terms of technical stuff, in terms of not only for automation, in terms of learning the system and everything, at least these things I should know about it. I should know what is. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Okay.
yes, we can hear.
Okay. 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 Yeah. So what is the important thing is that you should start learning, take 2 3 months of time, and talk to different people, and then try for it. Forget about your ego or something. Don't feel that, okay, I have spent 10 years in the industry, and then now it's not my cup of tea to learn the things, because I just do to manage the things. See, learning manager, I mean, becoming a manager and all such things, definitely you will become. But if you really want to gain that respect and you want to be involved, okay, in the technical stuff or technical discussions with the developers or your fellow team members in QA, I think you should start at least some level of, at high level of things you should know about it, how exactly system works, UI, what are different tools, technologies that we have. Because after 12 years, you should be involved in the technical architect discussions also for automation architect stuff. So you should have at least these things in your pocket. That if your team is asking, 3 years experience guy is asking, okay, Chandra, can you please help me out? Can you please review my code? You should be able to understand at least just to check their PR, or maybe some design discussions are happening or something like that. You should not create that image. Okay, no, my manager doesn't understand anything. So then they will start bitching about you in the background, and then you will get the complex, because somewhere you will get to know that, okay, my team is talking like that about me. So if you really want to get out of this, start learning the things, and this is a very high time that you should start, and prepare yourself for next 2-3 months, and join a company, join a project where uh, the entire team is sitting with you, and then you are open to discuss and share your ideas.
That's fair. Thank you.
Well, that was a very good thought, Naveen. Thank you so
Can I
much.
just ask, Chandra, do you get the chance to speak at all, or even
Yes,
say
very
what
well.
you have?
Yeah,
Sorry?
what I yes, very much. I mean, we do have that discussion, but as I said, it is more of a context related about a specific situation or a scenario. It's
Okay.
not like a open table or open discussion where you go and you put your ideas.
Okay.
It's more of you already have enough backlog, and you have already
Yeah.
more than you can handle in your table, and it's more of whether the backlog is cleared or not.
Okay.
It's not about what good idea or what new things you have. And at same times, you are taught as much that you don't really, as Naveen said, you should be looking at how you are improving yourself, but that is not happening. Because if you are working, you have to
Yeah.
deliver.
Yeah. Correct. Totally agree. Whatever Naveen has said, and what you think is right for your situation. I've not worked in service-based companies, so I can't really say much. But I just wanted to say, until that point of you getting to the point of going to another company and understanding product, able to talk to architects, looking at PRs, until that point, until you're here, then what you can try to do is talk irrespective of whether they like or not. just seriously, you'll come under the radar. People will notice you, and that will increase your, it'll boost up. I'm not saying talk rubbish. um,
Yes, I was just sorry
talk what
to.
matters. Talk what
Yeah.
matters, irrespective of anybody will listen or not. Yeah, yes, it hurts ego. I've sort of been in that place for a short period of time. It hurts ego, but it's fine. Keep that aside and look at it from your perspective. How is it going to help you? One thing you also need is to have the confidence to speak up and make the slot for yourself. So to be able to do that, if you are getting a chance to talk, I would suggest try, and even if it's 2 seconds of fame, try and get that attention, because when it comes to reviews, performance reviews, people have heard you. They know that you exist. They know that you have a voice, that you're trying to put forward a voice. That also will matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to say probably the same thing, but not not as not as directly as you said it, Seema. Well, that was
No, I don't come from that context, so I don't know if I've
no, no,
in any way, but I'm just trying to think, until you're there, what can you do about it?
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Um, any other perspectives on that one? Faiz,
Yeah, Brijesh.
yeah.
So, what in such situation I have faced, and what we can do if they are not allowing us to try or work on such ideas or something, they are not even trying to listen the idea. So you can try to work on yourself. You can see who are interested, and you can try to work on it parallelly. And after few weeks or months, you can show that it is possible, and we are getting some progress, and it could help us uh, as a team or in a project or product. So if we are able to show that this is helpful, then maybe they will listen and they will show the interest.
Yep. Just one thing. It's not about me. What I was really putting is, uh, it's not. If you want to talk, you sometimes you don't really know what you need to talk, because you are from last 4 or 5 years you have been so caught up that you have been not doing anything. As Naveen said in the starting, that at some point you need to improve yourself, and you have to be certain that you are improving in a correct manner. So I mean, you cannot just go and say an idea. I mean, I can say it here, but as I said, in a group you cannot go and say, I want to discuss this, let us put it this way. Will it work really?
See, I'll tell you one example. Yesterday, I got one call. It was a Zoom call. So two of the very senior people from US, and they're working at HP in California, and they called me. And one person is working as a around 20 years experience guy. Another guy is around 16, 17 experience guy. And they were saying that, okay, Naveen, now we are realizing that we wasted our time, and we want to join your training or something on automation, and like very high level training, like especially on environment setup and automation architect kind of role. Now then they realize, and they were really sad about it, that okay, we wasted our time, and we really want to learn the things now. And then we did a big mistake in our career somewhere, that okay, we were not very much aware of it, or maybe we are so comfortable in a company. So I thought, okay, I asked that, okay, when exactly you joined HP? So they've been working with HP from last 15 years, right? So now they are so comfortable with the project, and it's a kind of now Dala company, because now everybody is working, and they have their own position. Every year they are getting a new promotion or maybe a new hike, but the learning wise, the respect wise, they are not getting it, and now they are frustrated. After 20 years also they are getting frustrated. So I think if you really don't want to get into that situation, very right time. And I would advise to all the new folks, although they started their career, I think take a right decision at the right time in your career.
Okay. So on that, I have just one small question. One side we are discussing about the skills one should have, or the eagerness to learn something new. But at same times, there comes the context of your functional understanding. Since I come from a ERP domain, when you have a 5 or 6 years or 8 years of ERP testing and implementation experience, especially if a product like Navision or Oracle or SAP kind of things, it makes a difference, even though you are not that much technically sound in making a code change or doing an automation or something. So at that time, as you said, one had to look into his background and decide if he really wants to be which side. But since you told, if someone is working in HP and he's working from last 15 years, of course he must be doing something, right?
Yeah, they are doing something. They are really good in their product understanding and whatever. But end of the day, they are feeling that now the new crowd is coming, and they have to handle new responsibility in terms of automation, environment setup, and they have no idea about it. They know the product very well. There is no doubt about it. In fact, I know you know your product very well, your ERP application or SAP based application that you're using it. But other than that, if I'm asking you, okay, yeah, you have to set up a team, you have to hire a couple of performance engineers or automation engineers. Will you be able to design an automation framework in next 6 months or not? What is your perspective about that? So if these kind of questions and the expectation is coming from the management, then you will struggle a lot. And then your next promotion, your next things will happen on the basis of these criteria, because the market is getting changed. The trend is happening. This is a new trend in the market. You cannot survive in the market with the same thing, that I'm the manager, I'll be writing the test cases, I'll review your test cases, and that's it. People are expecting some other such extra skills also. That is the X factor that you should get it in your profile.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I agree with what Naveen just mentioned. And I also see that Shreya and Bharat have joined us. Uh, it's still good morning in India, so good morning, guys. Good to see you here. And I see that Parish is trying to join. That'll be good. So, Chandra, well, you've triggered a very good discussion. Now, I want to go back to one point that Seema made in her previous comment, and she said that when you are reporting that status at the end of the day, you should know your audience and try and address the problem accordingly. I also see that as an opportunity for you to express your thoughts. So if there is something burning and if you have a new idea, you can probably modify the status report a little bit to include certain things, you know, primarily as remarks or notes or something like that in the status report, which will draw their attention to that. Okay. Of course, that's only possible if somebody is indeed reading that status report. If nobody is reading well, then nothing can be done about it.
Even if nobody reads, it'll be good for Chandra to get that experience of how do I change it to that audience, right? So that's also good enough. Make small changes, take small steps.
Yeah, and that's one thing. The other thing is, make noise, like Seema said. I mean, speak irrespective of whether people are listening to you or not, or they want to implement your ideas or not. Try and bring it to their attention. Okay. I mean, don't make unnecessary noise, but make noise so that people sit up and take notice of okay, he's trying to say something.
But
And
Brijesh, Brijesh and Seema, but is it really worth that? What is also that we have to check? We are just raising the voice, but sometimes, especially in service-based company, what happens that okay, nobody is there to listen, and your entire effort is, just people are not just ignoring it, or maybe it doesn't matter sometimes.
Even the test, it's more of not related to my context, but even your test case matters when a specific scenario is failing. Nobody really cares about what was executed and completed. And since Seema told that what you are presenting and who you are actually presenting, I have a situation where almost 75% of the execution work complete, but the remaining 25% includes the main critical functionalities of the application. So technically, we can say that we have achieved 75%, but the core area was something which consists of 25% was pending. That means we are not really improving on the product side. So it does matter.
Maybe that is what is not communicated, that critical ones were not completed because and also maybe whoever you're reporting to doesn't completely understand what it is that you're doing. So yeah, so they need to they need that level of understanding as well. So it's a hard one to be able to tell them what to do.
Most of the time, most of the time, Brijesh and I have read that in the comments and forums also, the imposter syndrome, the pretending to be like someone you are not actually.
Going back to Naveen's point, when you're right, Naveen. Is there a point in doing this? Probably not. But there is a small point. What I was trying to make was, until he's in the company, until he is staying there, at least from what I've understood from what Chandra is saying so far, I feel his confidence is hit because he is doing the same thing over, has not had a voice, has not been able to change anything or do any initiative. So all I was trying to say was that small bit of building confidence can be achieved by talking, even if it's nobody's listening. If that alongside that, of course, look at the trends, look at what needs to be learned, what new things need to be done. Do that. I'm not denying all those things, but alongside that, until the point you're in the company, this is one thing. That confidence is not something that it'll change by going to a new company. You can build it wherever you are. So try and evaluate yourself. What are the things that you're missing? Technology, tools, processes, these are some things. Then there is the other side where ability to speak up, ability to report differently, even if they don't see, it's fine. You've made invested time to make that change and learned something from that. That's also something worth investing time in. That's what I was trying to say. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
No, I agree. And to Naveen's point, is it worth? Well, Naveen, how do we know if it is worth if we don't take a step towards it? Okay, to first of all, to discover if it's worth or not, we need to take some step towards it. And I personally feel that, if somebody does a little bit of homework, figures out, okay, what, I have this problem, I need to bring it out to the audience. I do not know if people will listen or not, but I still need to do it. So I do some more homework, try and see, try and speak not only about the problems, but about possible solutions that I can think of, and then start making noise. Who knows? Maybe it's worth a shout. Well, so and without trying, we can't say that, okay. And this is again my perspective, that you might not be sure if it's worth or not. So I get your point, Naveen. You're absolutely right, and I agree. But then I would still say, do your homework, uh, understand your audience, okay, upskill as much as possible, and then definitely uh, make noise. Well,
Yeah, I
that
totally
that that
I
was a Fez.
Brijesh, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, Naveen, please go ahead. I just had
Please,
one comment.
Naveen, please
No,
go ahead.
No, just like I'm just saying, I totally agree with you. My point is just that, okay, if it's, you feel that, okay, no, it's after all such efforts and everything, still you see that, okay, no, it's not worth of the kind of things I'm putting my energy. It's better you put your energy in learning new things, get your
Absolutely.
confidence back, and then the change whatever it is needed according to you. That is, I think, I totally agree with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yeah, Fez.
yeah. So what I was trying to say, you made great points. Like, so till the time, so I think there's nothing wrong in trying. So till the time he's there, he should at least give it a try. And if it not works, then of course, means he can take a right call that when he should stop trying in that direction and trying in another direction. And I think if Sachin would have been here, he would have said something like this: "कौन कहता है आसमान में सुराख नहीं होता? एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उछालो यारो." So it means if I will do the literal translation, it won't make much sense. But it says something like that only, that there is no harm in trying. Okay, so that was that. And Sachin could not join today because he's not feeling much well, so that's why, means he's a little bit unwell, so that's why I'm not. So I thought, let me just lighten mood by saying this to
Well, thank you, Fez,
nothing.
for doing a little.
Sachin is still there.
Yeah.
Sachin is still there. He's running behind Fez mind.
Well, well, Faiz, you've done a great job in doing a little bit of Sachin there. So that was nice. That was nice, and I think it was a very good point made. Okay, so just to uh, we see Parish has joined, Chaitali has joined. So just to summarize, guys, we've been talking about skills that we need in addition uh, to our technical skills to uh, be uh, recognized in our companies, to seek promotions, to get new job offers and things like that. And we've spoken about a lot of things. Then there was a particular situation which was highlighted by Chandra, which we spoke about in detail. So we've spoken about problem solving skills. We've spoken about uh, uh, skills such as your communication, your ability to to lay things out there, your storytelling abilities and things like that. So what else do you think uh, we should be having as a skill in order to go to the next level? Anything else that that you can think of?
One more which I can think is knowing priorities.
Priorities. Okay.
Yeah, knowing priorities and planning on them. So tester should, I mean, in very simple example, the tester should be knowing, he should prioritize that what area, which tests can be done manually and which can be done by automation, and which task to pick up first and which task to pick up next based on the priority of that. So that planning is really helpful in day-to-day work.
I think that's a very fair point. However, just one question: would you think that it's more of an aspect of your analytical skills or abilities, where you're able to analyze certain things and then say, okay, based on my analysis, this is the priority it should have? So, am I thinking in the right direction?
Yeah. You should know, I mean, a test, you should know the priority, what you need. You should be able to analyze. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else wants to add to that? So of course we do need analytical skills. We need to, be able to prioritize stuff and things, which is absolutely necessary. What else can you think of?
I think one important point is also how to give feedback and take feedback as well. And especially if it's a negative feedback, how do you deliver it as well as how do you accept it gracefully? Those two things really matter when on a day-to-day basis. It's really important. And the other one is, I think, coaching, mentoring. How do you deal with that kind of conversation with team members as you grow in your career? That becomes important. It's not something someone teaches you as a subject or a topic. I think it's something we need to develop on a day-to-day basis, little by little. Also, probably to that extent, I would say how to run a meeting or even sit in a meeting, and when to get involved. That's also important. I think someone earlier mentioned about, no, I think it was Naveen. I think it's Naveen who said not speaking up in meetings. Not speaking up in meetings is one thing, but when you do speak up, and when you're allowed to run a meeting, what do you do about it and how do you go about it? That's also a skill, I think, which is important.
Very, very true, very true. The first one that you mentioned is something
Feedback.
something that I want to focus on. We as testers are in the business of feedback, right? So that is one of the primary things that I think that we should learn, how to receive feedback, how to give feedback, and how to do it really well. And for that, again, I would say, okay, know your audience well, understand what they are looking for, and see if your feedback helps them in solving the problem that they are trying to solve. So a project manager's problem is different from a product owner's problem, is different from an architect's problem, is different from a developer's problem. So when you give feedback to all of these people, maybe it is the same thing that you're trying to say. You try and say it differently so that they get the context and they are able to make something out of it. So it is very important that right feedback in the right language, in the right tone is conveyed. Similarly, when you are receiving feedback, it has to be received with an open mind, because it's probably for your benefit. So Yeah, that's something that I would want to say. Naveen, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, two small points maybe.
Mhm.
Uh, Especially when you work in the product companies, you very closely working with the product owners
Correct.
and the different stakeholders. So as a QA, I personally believe that it's not about whatever it's written in the acceptance criteria and blindly you are just following that. I think you should more and more do brainstorming sessions within the team and with the product owners and the business analysts and talk to stakeholders if you are getting an opportunity. So that will give you more and more aspects to write your more negative or edge cases. Think for the business point of view, think for the customer point of view that this is what I need to do that and this is what I have to improve my coverage in terms of more business use cases, because end of the day that is like really really appreciated by the management if you're covering such scenarios, not like simple 5 points are written in the acceptance criteria just blindly following that. So I think very closely working with the product owner, which is very important. Another thing is that when you are raising a bug you should fight for that. I mean, it's not like okay that because it's a it's a dev nature that okay no this is working fine or maybe we will fix it later, and then we very silently we accept it. Okay, fine, this guy will fix it later after 2 months or 3 months, but this is the bug that you have raised it, right? So I know it's a very basic thing, but this is a bug that we have raised it and my team has raised it. Then we should have a proper reason behind that why it should not be fixed or why you are ignoring this bug. So I think for me, bug is very important because I have found some issues in the application, and then this is what I have raised in Zira. So you should fight for that. So I think that capability somewhere I see that okay QA people they miss it and they just accept it very silently. Okay, fine, very gracefully they accept it. I think we should fight for that. Why? And we should highlight, we should escalate the things to the management also, to the product owner also. This is something very important feature that I think we should release it. If you're not releasing it, then you should take all the follow-ups in the upcoming sprints also. That why still it's in the pending state or to-do state or something like that. So I think these 2 points I want to highlight in terms of.
No, you're absolutely right, Naveen. You're absolutely right. I agree with you very much on the on the attitude sometimes that people have, that they accept what is told to them. And there was a nice thing going on LinkedIn, which you started, a thread that you started. It works on my machine. I mean, we've heard that so many times. And and what is our response to that? What is our response to that is also very important. I mean, I've been hearing that line from the first day of my career. Okay, and I still, 21 years later, it works on my machine. It works very well on my environment. What have you done about it as a tester? A lot of times people, they say, oh, you know what, this is a problem, but at the end of the day they'll quietly accept it, saying, okay, maybe this is the norm. But unless you stand up and challenge that statement, then it's of no value, is what I would think. And
Yeah.
I mean, developers, they make sometimes these sort of statements, which of course, as we grow up in our in our working culture, we find ways of countering that. But it's important to have a conversation with them and say, okay, you know what, you're saying this, but ultimately we are trying to make the product better. So if you say that it's working on your machine, how best can you make sure that it's working on every other machine that it is being tested on? Is a conversation that you might want to have with the developer. And just to,
Exactly. So yeah. So main point is that you should fight for your bugs that you have raised. Another thing is that QA should speed up, right?
yeah.
So you should not hesitate that okay, and you should not accept everything. So whatever your work is, what the work is to control the quality or provide the quality, right? If I simply say okay, fine, I don't accept your build. This build is full of bugs. There is no point to raise 100 bugs once again. You just show me your UTs, show me
Mhm.
your build. How many UTs are getting failed? Did you cover that or not? Did you who review that PR? I think we should start gracefully asking these questions to the developers. So next time they will think twice before releasing to you that, okay, yeah. So I think whatever you are getting it, okay, this is a URL, this is the username password, and start doing the testing. Then you will losing the respect. I think you should ask the question why it is happening like that. According to the requirement, nothing is happening, and then show me your PRs who reviewed that, and check their GitHub repositories, check the latest commit is there now. And it's not a big deal. It's not that you have to be really super technically good just to check these things. It's all about your attitude, just to check that, and then go and raise the questions about it.
Well,
Then
Naveen,
you will start
Naveen,
seeing the magic.
Naveen, I am a senior developer. You are a junior tester. Why should I show you my UT?
What is a UT? Sorry.
Unit test.
Unit test.
Unit
Okay.
test.
Okay.
Hey, why?
Why?
Why
It's
should I
not
show you
your
my unit test?
personal. Why? It's a common repository. You don't need to show that. I'll go in the repository. I'll check it over there by my own.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you
You don't need permission for it to do all of those things. Just
Uh,
go
don't need
and
any
do it.
permission. I'll just accept that.
Yeah. I mean, no, a lot of times testers are caught up in this dilemma as to how do I do it. Now, if the
Yeah. How
unit
do I
test
do it? Because they are not sure about it. Exactly.
Because we feel we are working for developers, which is not true.
right, right, okay,
People
there is
just forget about this stigma. That, okay, hey, he's a developer. He's a technical guy.
Yeah.
How can I talk to him? Please, like it's full of. I really don't like this thing that you're also an engineer, right? So what is dev and QA? Fine, they have their own dev skills and development tools. They are using it and all such things. But at the end of the day, you are also an engineer, right? End of the day, product matters, and how will you test it? So more and more of a white box testing and go and check these things. I think that makes you different from others.
Correct.
So I have a scenario on what you were talking about, Naveen. So I am the only tester from offshore for my client, and all the other testers are from US. So what happens is that I work in the daytime and they work at the nighttime. So I have raised a bug related to a new user story that was given to me, which was related to the resolution on the screen. So the product owner or the product manager says, I know it's a bug, but we can't still fix it. You better close that bug. I said, no, I'm not going to close it. Why should I close it? So there was a lot of argument, and then I didn't close it. I said, only if you write that you asked me to close it, I will close it. And then you put manager and everybody in CC who are the stakeholders, then I will agree to whatever you said. So finally what happened, she did the same thing what I told, and then immediately after 2 days the actual user acceptance team who does the real testing came and asked, why is this issue not fixed? Then she put a mail to me, then I directed that to her, and still she says, no, we can't do anything about it. How do you address such scenarios?
Brijesh, you want to add something?
well, Naveen, you know, please go ahead first. I have things to say, but yeah, please go ahead first.
I first of all, I really like this attitude that, okay, you ask this the same thing in the mail. You need a full proof over here, right?
Yes.
You simple say that in Zira also, and no need to write an email for that. In simple, put a Zira comment that, okay, as per this Mr. XYZ, and we had a conversation, and according to him, it's not a bug. We are not going to fix it or whatever, and we are closing it right now. First of all, we should never close the bug. If there is a bug, we should never close it. Maybe it's in pending state, or maybe enhancement, or maybe fix it later, or something like that. Closing the bug means that bug is gone, is closed now, right? So first of all, you should fight for not to close the bug, and put a comment over there as per our conversation. This is what we discussed, and this is what it happened, and then raise a concern over there as a known issue. That is a known issue according to the QA team. We are releasing it. It's a known issue. If someone is after UAT or production bug is coming, and someone is asking you that, okay, why this bug raised, and you should always have a pointer that, okay, yeah, this is what I have as a proof. See, we raised it, and then this is what is happening. But before that, I think you should fight for that. Before moving to the production of the UAT, I think you should fight for that, and maybe some higher authority, or maybe talk to your manager, or talk to senior product manager or product architect are there that, okay, this is something important and we should fix it. Otherwise, we are not going to give a QA sign off. Just say that line. We are not going to give a QA sign off. Nobody, when harm you in that case. It's a valid thing. We should say that the build is rejected. QA sign off will not be done if you're not going to do that. So that's, I think, my opinion. After that, management, they want to do, they want to release, it's their choice. We don't want to get into those things, but from our side, our work is done from our side.
Once if it happens, it's okay, but in every sprint the same thing continues and it irritates me. I mean, once I can keep quiet, twice I can keep quiet, the third time also if the same thing, I do the same protocol what you told, like adding the respective stakeholders and confirming with them, and strongly telling I'm not going to give a sign off whatever you do. So but what is the point of testing if you are telling it's a bug? Still I'm going to do it. I mean, there's no point doing the testing in such cases, is what I always feel.
Hello. Hi guys. So hi Brijesh. Can I
Oh, of
put
course,
in my first point?
Amuthan.
Yeah.
I,
Hi Mahathee. Right. It's good that you are raising bugs, right? So, but when you are working for a company, I used to fight a lot of things like this. But at the end of the day, right, you keep your emotions aside. That's what I want to tell. Don't take. You don't have to be arrogant to yourself that your bug is not getting accepted. um as Naveen suggested, right, it's better if I was in your shoes. I will update the Jira ticket as per the conversation. Maybe we will move to the deferred state. Okay, closed is something that not acceptable. Put it in a deferred state. And if you're giving some QA sign off report, clearly mention there is an exception that we have these defects that are found and are yet to be fixed, and they are in deferred state in this particular point of release. So please don't come back to us like for these defects. So you can clearly indicate them in a sign of report that you have these kind of defects that are raised to the management, and they are happy to move to the production with that particular defect in place. So it's how the only thing that what I want to say is don't get too emotional. At the end of the day, we just need a good work life balance and a good mindset when we come back to home. So don't take that personally into yourself. So as long as you are doing good work, you need to keep yourself motivated. Don't get frustrated. That happens
No,
in agile
Amuthan, I agree to what you said, but in my prior experiences in previous organizations, I have had certain very bad experiences, and this does not let me sit calm, at least in this organization. I'm not showing my emotions or anything, but as you said, I mentioned the stakeholders and everything, but always this question pops up in my mind: unknown defect. No, if known or unknown, that's not my headache. But why am I compromising the process? Why am I doing this? Why am I not able to? I mean, why is the management? Should I change something in my dialogue, or should I change my communication style? Should I do something else to make
yeah
them
yeah
understand? These are the
yeah
things
this is
that
what
always come up.
this is what I am telling. Don't get into that phase. So you are doing your work correctly, and not only you are in this particular situation, even myself or Naveen or Brijesh, everyone get into that position. There is only to some level we can extend to the explain to the management. And if you even take into their business terms, right, suppose the defect you are telling is resolution defect. Okay,
Yeah.
they may see it as a maybe it can take time to fix it, or they are okay to live with it. Okay, it's their wish. Okay, so you don't have to get into the dilemma whether I'm doing it right way, whether I'm conveying it. No, you don't have to worry about all those things. That's what I am suggesting.
Okay.
At the
Hi,
end of the day,
hi.
we need a peaceful mind. That's my suggestion. So it happens to everyone, not just you. It happens to everyone across the globe who is working as testers.
Yeah. Hi, Mati. One other thing that you can do is probably keep track of all the bugs that have not been fixed or have been forced to be closed, and at some point put it all together and raise it up to stakeholders and show how many bugs have been ignored and how it will affect the business. Do some analysis over that. See if it's affecting only one particular functionality or one area or component, and then put forward your case. So that sometimes that gets heard. They're not ignored. I don't think so, but I don't know. Ignoring intentionally, it's probably whatever they say, business needs or any other reasons. Um, yeah, just put it all together, because at the end of the day, you're closing bugs without it getting fixed. No one seeing it. So there must be something going on underneath, under the hood. Try to bring some analysis into it.
Okay.
Because it's happened where I was raising high priority bugs, they get fixed. Then there were 100 medium to low priority bugs, and it was all ignored, saying, oh, we can release because it's not. But then at the end of the day, it was affecting the quality. Then I just had to put in an email saying, yeah, these are medium and low priority, but at the end of the day, when you're using it, a user doesn't see if it's medium or low. It's just inconvenience to them, and then explain how it matters and how it affects. And then
Okay.
as a short term, think about it as, okay, there are 20 bugs that are closed without even being fixed, and yes, they may not be high priority, they are medium or low, or whatever the status is, but even if time doesn't allow, or if it's not very business critical, how about fixing 5 of these? Just be more pragmatic about it and explain, saying how it matters. Of the 20 or 100, what are the top 10% that would help in improving the quality? If you speak in those terms, something will change.
Okay.
Yeah, speak in the language that people understand. Well, Srinivas Sai Charan has raised hands.
Yeah, I would like to add one more small thing which we use here. We use the power of release notes. So in release notes, definitely we would mention this, that there are some open issues with priorities, so that all the product owners know about this before releasing, or even after releasing. Even stakeholders also know that there are some issues. So I think definitely it would be odd if these issues repeat again and again, right? So because release notes is the one which we communicate to all the stakeholders also. So I think that would also help to address the issues from technical team perspective as well.
Yeah, thanks Naveen for joining. I know that you need to leave, but in fact, thank you so much Naveen for your inputs. We'll see you around. Well, Parish, Chaitali, Shubham, you guys haven't spoken.
Yeah, actually, Shubham, yeah. Hi, Brijesh.
Yeah.
So the one of the scenario which she mentioned earlier. So I have also came across a couple of scenarios like that in my earlier organizations. So one of the defect that actually we logged related to the, if you are well aware about the banking mobile application. So in that, or any application, the password should not be stored as a clean text into the database while going to the web service. So I have logged that defect earlier, even send it to the technical architect and marking the CC of the developer and all those things. But at that time, they haven't given much attention to it. Later on, the third party audit was happened for because of the client side requirement. And when auditor raised the same concern, that time they realized, and they pointed out that why QA team. So at that point also, we have given the same pointing out of the emails. So that was a kind of a mail, you can say, that we can do every time. So it will be a kind of a proof of evidence for us, at least a QA guy, in any kind of scenarios, I feel. And one of the thing is, I would like to ask your opinion on that other thing which I recently encountered with, is like, for just to give a release to go on a business side, if someone asked to lower the priority of a bug, how uh, much it is good, or what should we consider for it? So what we did is, we just informed our higher stakeholders or higher management that they are just showing us, telling us to lower the defect priority or severity, to just to get a business approval. So in such case, what you would suggest?
What was the reaction of the stakeholders?
Yeah, so they had a discussion, and after that, their conference call, it's a little bit of debate going on, and after they it's actually hold on the particular cycle release for a couple of days after that. But is it, I didn't found that reasonable actually when they said it, like lower the defect priority or severity just to get it released done, because it was the end of a cycle, QA cycle day at that time, and they were just like to push it to the UAT. Otherwise, they were just saying like QA and UAT will run in parallel. We'll fix it later.
Interesting. Parish?
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening, Brijesh, to the previous questions also, Mahathee, which she had raised. So see, I think to this question also, what Shubham is putting, what sometimes we forget is to look at the bigger picture. I mean, I have been listening to this from my QA team members also, that no, we are infuriated, no, we are disgusted that this is what is happening. Product management is not listening to us. Developers are not listening to us. It happens. It is all right, and it is some kind of tension among teams is a good tension that keeps all of us on our toes. Uh, so the question which was just asked about reducing priority, I mean, I have a very mixed or a neutral reaction to it. Sometimes I agree to it, sometimes I do not agree to it. It all depends on the reasoning, the justification I'm getting from the product management team. Okay, many times I'm pulled from other meetings that Parish, we are into this defect triage call, and the product management team is reducing the priority. Would you want to join this call? So no, it is all about what justification they are giving, and sometimes justification is all right. It is a worthy cause to reduce the priority and go ahead if your process says so, right? Now sometimes a process also are a kind of contentious. They say that if you have anything P1 and P2, you cannot release. Okay, it is P1 and P2. That is all right. But what if it is a high priority defect only for a very less number of users, right? So sometimes no, those kind of things the product management team will be able to tell us exactly, and we should listen to it. If we agree, it is good. But at least they should be giving us some justification. Now, the second thing is that there are certain things. The earlier question what Mahathee was talking about, that no developers are not fixing the defect. It's a twofold thing. What we do not understand is that are they not agreeing it to be a defect, number one, or they are agreeing it to be a defect and deciding it to not fix. Now these are two different things. Okay, so and I agree with the comments of Naveen when he said that you should fight for your defect. It is the first case. Second case, they are agreeing but not fixing. It is all right. Okay, again, the same thing as I said. Product management should have a valid justification why they are not fixing it right away. What they believe should be the right time to fix it. As simple as that. So I mean, no, I have been listening to it for last 45 minutes, and the background I'm getting is that developers are our enemies or the product management team is an enemy. It is not that like that. I mean, it used to be like that 10, 15 years back, but given in the agile world, we are just one team and we have to listen to each other. And same thing applies to my development teams also. If they come to me with so much of complaints about testing team, I tell them the same thing, guys, we are one team. We are not testers, developers. Of course, we love our craft. We do what we are supposed to do, but we are not enemies. We have to understand each other, as simple as that.
Right. Really, really good points, Parish. Who else has not spoken yet? Chaitali, Rishi, are you ready to speak now?
Yeah, like, and when the like higher authority or delivery team approves it to go with the issues, you can ask a reason for that, like why exactly it is okay to not fix, so that we can get some idea like what is their end users or what exactly they want to deliver or okay not to deliver, and we can prioritize our test cases related to that when we get less time. That's what my take.
Good. Okay. We have already crossed our time limit, so we are at the end of the discussion. Before guys start dropping, can you please turn on your camera so that we can take a group picture? I know that some people have left. Hey, Parish, good to see you after a long time.
Hi, sir. This is Chaitali.
Yeah, Jagati.
Actually, I am very new to automation, almost for 6 months just. Started with Selenium. I just wanted to know when we are programming in Selenium, what kind of documentations do we maintain to explain to the team? Because we know our program, how to explain to the other rest of the team.
Good question. Who's going to take a shot at it? What documentation would you recommend to, or what level of documentation would you recommend to somebody who just started automating? Faiz? Srinivas?
First thing would be the proper README, and then the second thing would be the documentation about the methods inside the classes which we are using. README with steps how to execute and any command line arguments, something like that. README would be the first step. So in the GitHub repo, if they're maintaining the code in GitHub.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So I think what Srinivas said is correct. So Chaitali, I am assuming you are working with Java because most of the folks who are working automation are working on Java. If it's not correct, let me know. So in Java there is a functionality called Java doc. So means you can. So what happens is whenever a person writes a code, write a scripts or method. So in that they can give the Java doc comment, and then then you have to do a certain process, and after that you can create the whole document will be automatically generated. So that is, I in my eyes, as for my belief, apart from README is a good approach, because it doesn't add an overhead to separately maintain the documentation. So whenever you are writing, and so it's not necessary to write this Java document for each and every method maybe. But yeah, but it's especially for such complex one, you can go for it. And if your team feels like for every it should be there, so it could be there as well. So that thing you can do. So it will just take about a 2 to 3 minutes time maximum. 2 to 3 minutes I'm saying because of what you will have to think, that how others will be able to understand it, and then you will have to write it. Otherwise it's not that much time consuming as well. If you are able to think quickly, how you will be able to what you will write so that others can understand, it is very like it will just take a minute or so. So, and then the Java document can be helped. Apart from that, there can be one high level documentation of the framework architecture should be there. And there can be one video, there can be one call or session in which the high level architecture of the framework and what are the guidelines, because there are some standards needs to be followed, which are like global, and some are company or frameworks or project specific. So all those things should be documented somewhere, and if it's provided via a session, then it would be an additional benefit. And if required, we can record that session as well, so that if someone joins afterwards, then that person can refer to that framework explanation session recording as well.
Sure.
That's what I think should be done. Yeah.
Sure. Shubham, you want to add something?
Yeah, just one thing to add. As you are starting with, then while creating the framework, if you are doing any contributions, better to add small comments over the methods or functions, defining what feature it is used for, or what is the thing which is for which it is developed. So even not just someone who is else is using it or adding into it. So it will be useful for them just to understand the brief scenario for which the functionality is created.
Right. Chandra, you also raised your hand. Parish, you want to add something?
It was a mistake.
Parish, you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just saying, Chaitali. So the answer is very simple. You have to understand who are you going to put the documentation. Okay. Number one, it is going to be for yourself for the future. When you have to go and maintain that script, upgrade that script, will you be able to understand everything? So what will help you when you have to come back there? Number one. Second, who else may come back to that script or that framework and can make the changes? What will help them? And third thing is, if it has to be shown to any other stakeholders, I think somebody has put that on the chat also, right? What do you want to present to them? That is what that is where Faiz answer comes. Any kind of understanding document or a video of what you have been doing. So I mean, exactly what sections, what subject lines, what titles you have to decide. But look at who is going to be the audience and how much they are going to use that. Accordingly, you take your call.
Yes. I hope those answers help you, Chaitali.
Yes, thank you all.
Okay.
I have been maintaining a Java doc already, but yes, I will maintain some README and other documents too.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone for staying on for such a long time today. We are 13 minutes past our scheduled time of closure of this meeting, but it was an important discussion, interesting thoughts from everybody. I can't thank you guys enough. Can we all turn on our cameras, if possible, for a quick selfie? For those who can. Srinivas, you finished your sprint planning meeting? You were
I finished
multitasking.
and actually in our company, I'm from Abu Dhabi. So I enjoyed some, I tried to grab things. I did not want to miss it out. So I joined and I skipped the next meeting. After sprint planning, we have some technical planning discussions on discussing things in detail. But I said I won't come.
Oh, good on you. Good on you. I
Yeah.
see that the ladies have not turned on their cameras, but it's okay. I guess. Even Janam is shy. All right. Okay, we have the picture taken. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a pleasure talking to all of you today. We will meet next week with more such discussions.
Okay, this is weekly, right, Brijesh?
Yeah, this is weekly. This goes to the recording will obviously go on our YouTube channel. This is a weekly discussion. You are free to share your points if before the if you have a different idea to talk about in these meetups, please share and we will have a meetup purely based on what you would like to discuss.
I just wanted to add one thing before we go, since we discussed about the skill. How about putting those skills on a resume? I mean, until unless as a tester, until unless I say that I am very good in WebDriver IO or Selenium or Cypress or so, if I say I'm a good storyteller, do the people will hire me? Or I'll say I'm an exploratory tester until unless we are among the few people who I know thanks to Test Chat or the other communities which are recently active, no one will really hire me, right?
Well, I have those things in my CV and I get hired. So
you are legit.
I cannot think of other examples, but I have different sections in my CV for skills and tools, and in the skills I do mention things like note taking, storytelling, analytical skills, modeling skills. I do mention all of that because they are important from a testing perspective. And in the tools section, I'll mention WebDriver IO because that's not a skill, that's a tool. So
yeah, okay.
I mean, I cannot go farther away from me, but I do get hired because of the skills that I have and the ones that I get listed on my CV. So I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on that. Well, Chandra, I think that's a good point. Maybe we want to have a discussion around that. Resume worthy skills. What can we add in our resume? What can we not add?
Especially in context of Indian job market.
Yeah. I got hired in India as well. I got hired in the Middle East as well.
So. You may be an exception to this.
No, I'm not an exception. I'm just a learner.
Because you are, no, why I'm saying is because you are on the other side of the end. You are the enabler of the test chat.
No,
And
it's
not
not,
only that, I mean, you
not
have
now.
you
It's
have
not
a good experience to share.
It's
We are, I mean, people like me are on the receiving end, who are more or less looking for a quick fix or maybe a shortcut or a hack, which may help them land up a good job or a good opportunity, you know.
I completely agree with what you're saying, Chandra. I have had this in my resume, these skills segregated from my tool set, in my resume for the past 10, 12 years now. And I have had success with that. Okay, because it makes the people on the other side of the table, the interviewers, think. Okay, and then they ask me questions according to that. Because
Okay.
because your testing abilities need to come out. Okay, and for testing better you need skills such as analysis, such as storytelling, such as modeling, and things like that. And when I say modeling, it's not the ramp walk modeling, it's system modeling. So how do you
Yeah.
model your solutions so that you can design your test cases better. So design skills also are good to have. So these definitely help. Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
we can have a discussion around it. Yep, that's a very good point, Chandra. Thank you for making that suggestion. Thank you everybody for joining in today. I wish you all a wonderful Sunday ahead of you and a great week. We'll keep chatting in the chat community. See you everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.